Narcissists know very well how powerful sex can be. They understand that it can create strong emotional bonds, flood your body with feel-good chemicals, and make you feel safe and attached. Instead of respecting that power, they twist it. They use sex not to bring two hearts together, but to tighten their control over you. Every kiss, every look, and every touch comes with a hidden intention. It is not about love, but about power. In the early days with a narcissist, sex feels absolutely intoxicating. It is passionate, consuming, and magnetic. You might feel like you have finally found the most irresistible connection of your life, but that intensity is not random. It is part of their design. The narcissist is using sexual energy as a form of love bombing to hook you fast, to create emotional dependency, and to lower your defenses. You start linking their touch to affection, their attention to your worth, and their presence to emotional safety. What begins as passion turns into a form of programming. Slowly, and almost without you noticing, that passion becomes conditional. Sex turns into a reward or a punishment. It is offered when you comply and withheld when you do not. Over time, you begin to sense a shift. The intimacy no longer feels mutual. It is more like a performance with only one star. If you boost their ego and make them feel powerful, they might shower you with affection. But the moment you express your own needs or confront them about their behavior, they pull away. The warmth simply disappears. It is a game of give and take, or rather, give and take away. They offer closeness when they want control and withdraw it when they want you confused, anxious, and chasing their approval. This is where sex becomes part of the cycle of control. Narcissists often use physical intimacy to manipulate your emotions. After a heated argument, they might initiate sex, not from guilt or genuine care, but to reset the emotional dynamic and regain dominance. It is their way of saying that they decide when you are connected. It confuses your mind, softens your anger, and blurs your memories of the hurt they caused. You begin to doubt yourself. You wonder if you overreacted or if they actually care. But that is exactly the point. They do not need to apologize if they can make you forget the pain through pleasure. That is how they keep you trapped in emotional confusion. Even more damaging is how they use absence as a weapon. Suddenly, they turn distant. They stop touching you, and they withdraw affection without any explanation, leaving you to wonder what you did wrong. Then, right when you start to detach, they come back with full intensity. They are suddenly passionate, attentive, and irresistible. That push and pull keeps you addicted. You are always trying to get back to the version of them that made you feel alive in the beginning. But that version was never real. It was a mask, a strategy, and a carefully rehearsed performance. The emotional high they gave you at first was not a genuine connection. It was just bait. This entire pattern leaves deep scars. It conditions you to link love with pain, passion with fear, and intimacy with anxiety. That is the hidden power of a narcissist. Sexual manipulation is never about the act itself. It is about how it controls your emotions. They do not crave your heart. They crave ownership of it. The cruelest part is how they use your natural desire for love and closeness as a leash to hold you. Meeting a narcissist often feels like walking into a dream. The way they look at you, speak to you, and touch you feels electric, almost like destiny. But that is because it is too perfect to be true. Narcissists are masters of illusion, and their most powerful trick is love bombing. They overwhelm you with attention, flattery, and passion to make you emotionally dependent. It is not a real connection. It is calculated control. Beneath the charm, there is no emotional depth, only strategy. During that early stage, they mirror you. They reflect your values, your dreams, and your beliefs. So it feels like you have finally met someone who truly understands you. They talk about forever, about fate, and about how rare your bond is. They text constantly, crave all of your time, and tell you that you are unlike anyone they have ever met. But none of this comes from real emotion. It is an act meant to bypass your defenses by creating a whirlwind of intensity. They make you skip the natural process of trust building so that you fall too deep, too fast. Sex plays a massive role in this illusion. It is passionate, frequent, and feels deeply charged. They will say things like they have never felt this connected before, or that no one else understands them like you do. But the truth is, this intensity is not proof of love. It is manipulation. The narcissist uses sex to lock in emotional addiction. The chemicals released during intimacy, such as oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins, all make you feel attached and euphoric. Your brain links that pleasure directly to them. Once that bond forms, they know they can control you much more easily. When they sense they have secured your loyalty, the change begins. The warmth cools and the effort drops. Messages slow down and compliments fade away. The passion that once seemed endless becomes rare. Where they once celebrated your uniqueness, they start pointing out your flaws. The person who once made you feel special now makes you feel confused and inadequate. When you ask why, they twist it back on you. They tell you that you are imagining things, that you are too emotional, or that you are overthinking. They gaslight you until you doubt your own memory. Then comes the cruel truth. The person you fell for never really existed. The intense connection you believed in was not love. It was a calculated trap. The love bombing phase was not an expression of devotion. It was bait to pull you in deep before the mask slipped. By the time you realize what is happening, you are already emotionally caught. You find yourself questioning your own reality and craving the validation they once gave so freely. That initial affection was never real. It was a setup, and the narcissist knew exactly what they were doing the entire time. Narcissists do not enter relationships for the same reasons healthy people do. Most people want closeness, understanding, and mutual support. Narcissists want admiration, not love. They crave constant attention to feed their fragile self-image. Their need for control shapes every part of their relationships, especially sexual and emotional ones. To them, true intimacy is dangerous because vulnerability is exposure. Being truly seen threatens the perfect mask they wear. Deep down, they are terrified of being ordinary or unworthy, so they avoid real closeness at all costs. Sex with a narcissist might start out feeling consuming, but it is never about shared pleasure. It is a show, one that revolves entirely around them. If they seem attentive, it is often because they want to be praised for being amazing, not because they care about your satisfaction. They feed off your admiration. They want to hear how great they are, how irresistible they are, and how unforgettable they are. The moment that praise stops or the focus shifts to you, their interest fades. Sexual connection, like every other kind of attention, is just another way for them to boost their own ego. Once that purpose is met, the act loses all meaning for them. What makes it even more painful is what happens when intimacy threatens to become real. Genuine closeness requires honesty, trust, and an emotional give and take. These are things narcissists avoid because they cannot handle true vulnerability. The moment you reach for emotional depth, they pull away or change the subject. Their masks crack under the weight of real intimacy. So they replace it with control, criticism, or withdrawal. That is the heartbreaking truth about intimacy with a narcissist. You will give your heart hoping to build something real, but they will only take what they need, which is your admiration, your validation, and your total control. To them, love is not a partnership, it is possession. Until you see that, you will stay trapped in their cycle, always reaching for the warmth they used to give, never realizing it was only ever a tool to keep you anchored. They are often unwilling or simply unable to give back. They will pull back, detach emotionally, or even sabotage the connection. Sometimes they will mock or downplay your moments of vulnerability using sarcasm, silence, or indifference to create emotional distance. When you try to connect on a deeper level to share your feelings or open up, they might treat it like weakness or make you feel like you are asking for too much. This is how they keep you feeling small and keep themselves feeling in charge. You are not losing your mind, and you are not the problem. You are simply dealing with someone who uses human connection as a playground for power. Understanding this is the first step toward reclaiming your own sense of self and breaking the cycle of emotional abuse. You deserve a connection that is safe, consistent, and built on actual love, not on a strategy designed to diminish who you are. This reaction is not random. It is a defense mechanism. The narcissist simply cannot handle genuine emotional exposure, so they devalue it, reject it, or twist the entire situation to make you feel embarrassed for even wanting closeness. In relationships with narcissists, partners often end up feeling deeply emotionally starved. You might be physically near each other, yet you feel like you are being left out in the cold. You could share the same bed and the same home, yet feel absolutely no real bond at all. When you try to have real, meaningful conversations about love, growth, or the connection between you, you are met with blank stares, half-hearted replies, or even ridicule. Slowly, this lack of true intimacy becomes deeply confusing. You start to wonder why someone who once seemed completely obsessed with you has turned so cold and distant. You begin to question your own perceptions. You wonder if you are just being too emotional, too needy, or if you are simply expecting too much from them. But the painful truth is not that you are asking for too much. It is that they never planned to give you that kind of emotional depth in the first place. To a narcissist, relationships are not emotional partnerships. They are transactions. They give just enough to keep you close, to maintain the illusion of a happy couple, and to preserve their primary source of admiration. But when the excitement of the beginning fades, or when their attention shifts elsewhere, they begin searching for new ways to feed their ego. It is not unusual for them to flirt with others, seek attention outside of the relationship, or purposely create jealousy just to stir up emotional chaos. Because for them, anything that makes them the center of attention feels like power, and that is what they crave most of all. So, while you long for closeness, warmth, and a genuine connection, the narcissist is not built for that. They do not want to be truly known, they want to be admired. The more you try to reach their real self, the further they retreat, because true intimacy requires honesty, and that is a mask they are absolutely terrified to take off. Withholding affection is one of the narcissist's quietest yet most powerful weapons. It is not always obvious or dramatic. Sometimes it hides in the silence, in the distance, or in the cold shoulder that fills a room with unbearable tension. It is the sudden shift from warmth to ice without any explanation, leaving you dizzy and wondering what you did wrong. This is not passive behavior, it is deliberate. When a narcissist withholds affection, it is rarely because they have stopped caring. It is because they want to unsettle you. They know exactly how much you crave closeness. By taking it away, they gain complete control over your mood. At the beginning, they may have showered you with affection. Every word, every touch, and every gesture made you feel chosen, seen, and adored. But once they know you are emotionally invested, they start to pull away. Compliments become rare. Intimacy feels forced, and sometimes it disappears altogether. You might notice they stop initiating contact, avoid your eyes, or act distracted when you try to get close. When you ask what is wrong, they shrug it off with vague excuses. They claim they are tired, stressed, or just not in the mood. But over time, a clear pattern appears. Affection returns only when you meet their expectations. This cycle builds deep anxiety and dependency. One day you feel loved, and the next day you feel invisible. You start linking their affection to your own behavior. You replay past conversations in your head, analyze every word they spoke and every gesture they made, wondering what pushed them away. You might even find yourself apologizing for things you did not actually do just to earn back their warmth. That is exactly how they want it. You start walking on eggshells, trying harder and harder to win back what once came so easily. It gives them power and keeps you chasing them. Sexual intimacy becomes another tool of control. They might use it to pull you back when they sense you are slipping away, or to remind you of their influence over your desires. But when they want to punish you or prove their dominance, they withdraw it completely. Suddenly they are too tired, too busy, or simply uninterested. They know that denying touch can wound you just as deeply as harsh words. They turn their body into a weapon, something to withhold or manipulate to make you question your own worth. What makes this even more painful is their refusal to acknowledge it. They act as if nothing has changed at all. When you bring it up, they call you needy or insecure. This gaslighting leaves you doubting your own perception of reality. You start to wonder if maybe you are being unreasonable. You ask yourself if your need for connection is simply too much for anyone to handle. Eventually, you learn to silence your own needs just to avoid conflict, and that silence gives them full control. They dictate when closeness happens, when affection returns, and when peace exists. After a while, the relationship feels entirely empty. You exist in a kind of emotional winter, always trying to stay warm from memories that have long gone cold. The same person who once made you feel seen now makes you feel invisible. Yet you hold on, hoping the warmth will eventually come back. The quiet withdrawal of affection becomes a form of control so subtle and so slow that by the time you realize what is happening, you are already trapped in a pattern designed to keep you uncertain and emotionally dependent. Jealousy is another emotion they use masterfully. In healthy relationships, jealousy comes and goes because it is a human feeling. But with a narcissist, jealousy is not accidental or a sign of care. It is strategic. They intentionally create situations that make you feel insecure, undesirable, or replaceable. They do it to keep you anxious, striving, and always reaching for their approval. Because when you are doubting yourself, you are not questioning them. And when you are desperate for their attention, they know they have full control. At first, they might make you feel like the only person who matters in the world. But soon, you notice small shifts. They bring up an ex-partner more than once. They talk about a friend from work in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. They might even flirt in front of you or openly compliment someone else's looks or charm while you stand right there. It feels intentional because it is. Narcissists love watching the effect it has on you. Your unease, your hurt, and your jealousy prove that you care. It feeds their ego. When you confront them, they play the innocent victim. They will tell you that you are imagining things, that you are being dramatic, or that you are overly sensitive. They might laugh, roll their eyes, or act offended, that you would even question them. This is gaslighting in action. You feel something is wrong, but they convince you otherwise. You start wondering if maybe it is all in your head. You think maybe you are overreacting or that you are the jealous one. As your confidence starts to fade, their behavior escalates. They create more opportunities for jealousy through small comments, lingering glances, or suggestive stories about people who find them attractive. It is always subtle enough for them to deny, but obvious enough to hurt you. And when you finally react, they turn it back on you. They ask why you are so jealous and why you do not trust them. They tell you that you are imagining things again. Your pain becomes proof of your instability, and instead of holding them accountable for their behavior, you end up apologizing for feeling hurt. That is the trap. You begin to feel ashamed for your own emotions. You start walking on emotional tiptoes, trying to be calm, cool, and agreeable just to avoid conflict. You want to seem confident, not clingy. You want to show that you trust them even when your instincts are screaming that something is wrong. Meanwhile, they grow bolder. They know you will not leave. They know you will keep trying to win their approval. This is not about their attraction to someone else. It is about their power over you. The narcissist does not necessarily want that other person. What they want is to make you feel replaceable, to remind you that they could leave at any time. That fear keeps you on edge, and it keeps you chasing the version of them that once made you feel secure. So, when they give you a tiny crumb of attention or affection, it feels like a victory, as if you have finally earned it. That cycle where you are starving for connection and they hold the key is what keeps you trapped. You start losing yourself, molding your behavior to their moods, comparing yourself to others, and constantly wondering what you did wrong. You feel anxious in their presence, but you feel even more anxious without them. It is like emotional gravity. You keep getting pulled back no matter how much it hurts. And that is the cruelest part of the entire dynamic. Narcissists do not just control you with grand gestures or blatant manipulation. They do it through subtle emotional conditioning, through silence, through jealousy, and through the careful, calculated withdrawal of love. You end up loving someone who makes you feel small, invisible, and desperate for approval. But that is not love. It is dependency built on control, confusion, and fear. It is time to recognize that this is not a relationship built on mutual growth or happiness. It is a system designed to keep you off balance. By seeing these tactics for what they truly are, you can begin to step out of the cycle. You deserve a partner who offers consistency instead of games, and who values your heart rather than using it as a prop in their own ego-driven performance. You are not the problem, and you are worthy of a connection that makes you feel whole, not diminished.